There are over 1,000 obtainable items in survival Minecraft, and I want to obtain every single item in just 24 hours. Seems impossible. I need to obtain every potion, every tool, and not to mention some of the rarest items in the game. I loaded up a new world with one goal in mind: beat the game as quickly as possible. This way I can obtain an elytra, which would be essential for the rest of the challenge. I spent the first few minutes of the challenge getting as many basic resources as I could. Even though I was trying to kill the Ender Dragon quickly, I knew it would be better to get these items now than have to come back and get them later. After the first basic crafts, I spent the next half an hour preparing to enter the Nether. And I got a crazy lucky spawn with both a Nether fortress and a warped forest biome, which can give me Ender pearls. And by the end of the first hour, I was headed to the stronghold. It was pretty slow pace, but I had already collected over 100 items, which is already 10% of the way. This is where the challenge truly begins, once I obtain an elytra. And with no time to waste, I jumped through the end portal, ready to fight the dragon. Except I had forgotten something very important: glass bottles. I need bottles so that I can collect Dragon's Breath, because I need it for potions and because it's a unique item. I would now be forced to respawn the Ender Dragon at a later time, but without knowing about it, I continued on. The remainder of the hour was spent getting the end items and looting end cities. I needed diamond gear and tools for the rest of the challenge, which also allowed me to get multiple elytras, which was good because I really didn't want to waste time enchanting them. And after not very long, I had collected all the items I would need from the end and returned to the overworld. It was now time to crank things into gear. The first group on my list was wood, and with spawn being next to 8 out of the 9 wood types, I got to work. We got dark oak forest right here, which is really good. I can knock out that first. Let's go. Dark oak done. Spruce trees are right over here, so let's knock them out quick. Then we got cherry wood and acacia. Finally jungle and bamboo. I had completed nearly all of the wood types by the end of hour 3. I was still missing mangrove wood, but with it being one of the rarer biomes I needed to find, I decided to wait on it, instead move on to the next section, which would be wool. Spent most of the next hour getting the different colored wool. I needed them for beds, banners, and carpets. However, I was missing green dye. In order to obtain these, I would need to get cactus from a desert. So I set out to find a desert. That is a desert. Let's go. That's really good. Oh, that is a mangrove swamp. Oh, that's really good. Now I can finish off all the wood. And there's a coral reef here. This is like triple luck. And with the start of hour 5, I had finished my first section. By collecting all the mangrove items, I was now done with all of the wood types. With the coral reef nearby, I also collected all the coral since I had a silk touch pickaxe. With these items now collected, I began exploring. Many of the other items that I would need to acquire required rare structures or biomes, like mansions and ancient cities. Luckily for me, I managed to find a mansion in just 5 minutes. But after looting the entire thing, even though I managed to get a music disc and totems, I was still missing one of the main things I came for: Vex trims. This means I would now have to find another mansion later on. But when it seemed like stuff was just starting to go wrong, I got extremely lucky. Desert temple here. I don't really know how useful this is, but we will loot it anyways. What the? That's a notch apple! That's insane. That is really lucky. Let's go. And with me being in a desert, I began knocking off sand items, and then headed into a massive cave to check off the remaining stone items. And as I reached the 6-hour mark, I had finished off all the stone items checking off my second section. With this done, I soon encountered a Badlands biome, letting me finish off all the terracotta and checking another section off the list. Things were going well, but I had just gotten a chance to make it even better. The Badlands were really tall, meaning there was a chance I could find an ancient city. So I started digging. Oh, this is a skulk biome. That's good at least. I mean, it's not an ancient city, but I can still get the skulk blocks. It appeared that there was not an ancient city, but just to be sure, I kept digging around, hoping I could find the rare structure. And I did. With everything I would need from the ancient city, it was back to exploring. I began the hunt for trial runes. These structures can allow me to get numerous armor trims, pottery shards, and a music disc. Little did I know the pain I was about to bring on myself. I had spent an hour looting the ruins and still hadn't gotten everything I needed. I was so angry, so I took a break and began the process of looting the nearby monument. I got all the prismarine and other monument items. I also managed to grab a few turtle eggs, which I would need later to get Scoots to craft a turtle helmet. And as hour 10 finished off, I got extremely lucky and obtained a sniffer egg. This is very important because it would take a lot of time for the sniffer to hatch the seeds, so I needed it early. And with my exploring completed for now, I headed to the Nether and began returning to spawn, while also getting all the Nether items. I returned to spawn and placed down the sniffer and turtle eggs, and began collecting any items I could, starting with all the glass. And now, with another section done, I headed back to explore. There was still a few items I needed, like mycelium and some more armor trims. Luckily, I managed to find a mushroom island fairly quickly, and found one of the missing armor trims by looting outposts. With this done, it was now time to begin working towards the harder items, starting with a beacon. To get a beacon, I need to kill the wither, and lucky for me, I managed to get looting 3 from end cities, so it shouldn't be too hard, right? I finally got all the skulls. Like, holy, those raids were horrible. Or at least now I'm ready to kill the wither. I spawned the wither and began killing it. With the Smite 5 sword I had, it was dying very easily. But just as I was about to finish it off and collect the nether star, I remembered something. The wither rose. The only way to obtain this item is for the wither to kill a mob before it dies. Luckily, I was able to get the wither to kill a creeper before I killed the wither. And now I had completed 2 of the hardest items. I flew home, checked on the turtle eggs and my copper, and looked at what items remained. I still needed beetroot and cookies, which are fairly easy. I also still needed one more suspicious stew variant. Wait a second. Wither suspicious stew. I need a wither rose for that. That's not good. I threw that out where I fought the wither. The clock was now ticking. I had less than 5 minutes to get back to the location to pick up the rose. I need to check the coordinates. Come on. Please be here. Come on. But try as I might, I was too slow. The wither rose had already despawned, and I was at a loss. This was my first big mistake of the challenge. A mistake that now may cost me the entire run. But to take my mind off this possible failure, I began hunting for netherite. By flying around in lava lakes with fire resistance, I should be able to obtain the netherite fairly easy. And an hour later, I crafted every netherite armor piece and tool. This was a very good milestone, as netherite was one of the other hard items to obtain, but I didn't have time to rest. There was still a lot of stuff that I needed to get finished. After obtaining a bunch of villager items like chainmail armor, I also managed to obtain a trident, which is pretty lucky considering how rare they are. However, I was soon faced with a massive problem, and that was I was running out of time. I had little over an hour left in the challenge, and it was going to be close. So I rushed to the Nether and grabbed a few gas tiers before racing to the end and respawning the dragon. With my elytra, I made quick work of the dragon and collected plenty of dragon's breath. And now, with limited time remaining, I began grinding out every potion that I could get my hands on. But as the final hour counted down, I knew that there was no way I could get every item in time. I collected as many items as I could, but in the end, it was inevitable. The clock hit 24 hours, and I had failed. I was so close to my goal, yet so far at the same time. If only I hadn't made all the stupid mistakes, then maybe I could have finished the challenge. But now, it was too late. If you enjoyed this video, you should watch the video on the right. And you should definitely subscribe.